Yeah, like the GT cars are the ones that I've noticed are like have the biggest fields, and like as you get higher prototypes, there's less.
Well, when
There's
is
a
it next weekend?
huh?
Is it next weekend?
No, Rolex is on the 30th.
I got you. Okay. Why does it feel like it's later this year? What's going on, everybody? We are in here live. We finally are live. Me and Armani were having a little discussion about the Rolex 24 coming up
Oh,
here.
he's a hater.
Yeah, I'm a hater. So go ahead and tell them what you told me.
Yeah, so I'm telling you.
Hold on. I can't let you even tell that story yet. There is something that has to be done before we even get started. All right. I just want everybody to see what that word says right there. That's a championship hat right there. But anyways, go ahead and say what you were going to say.
I'm telling you, I'm planning on going to the Rolex for my birthday, which is coming up. And then this man's hating on the Rolex 24.
So I don't hate the Rolex 24. I'm just not a sports car guy. But I give him a hard time because I know he loves it. Let me put this top button up right here. I don't need to be showing everybody, the world, my stuff, you know. But he said that he spent $60 or is going to spend $60 on Rolex 24 tickets. I told him that there was a fun fact that was $60 more than I would spend on Rolex 24 tickets. I just wanted him to know that fact.
It's even worse that is your boy that's on your head is going to be in the race too.
That's the only thing that's going to make it a legitimate race this year. I mean, it's a crown jewel now that he's in it. Chase Elliott's in the Rolex 24, so that's what makes the race.
Also.
At this point, they may even they're only calling it the Rolex 24 this year because he used to drive the 24 car. Then it'll be the Rolex 9.
Oh my God.
They'll just run 9 hours and it'll be the Chase Elliott honorable right there. But anyways, back to reality, back to being serious. Obviously, NASCAR by the numbers, we are back. Me and Armani have taken, it's got to be 6 or 7 weeks. I don't think we've talked to anybody since early December, or at least done a show since then. We had a meeting a few weeks ago. We really wanted to try to be more consistent this year and really try to put out something every week and try to do better with numbers and all that stuff. Obviously, right now, there's things to talk about, but there's no live racing numbers to talk about. So a lot of it's going to be about opinions and things, which I'll be honest, this is my favorite time of year because I love talking predictions. What am I thinking? Because this is really when it matters, right? Like the middle of the season, your opinion matters, but you're probably either proven right or wrong at that point. Now is when you can really say things and you really are going to find out in the next few months. But first, before we get racing, again, it's been like a month and a half since we've had a show. So we need to catch up in each other's lives first. Now, me and Armani, okay, we'll take away the kayfabe here. Me and Armani do actually stay in touch. It's not like we have not seen each other or heard from each other and have been in.
I don't know who this guy is.
We haven't been in exile from each other. But Armani has different things that happen in his life since we've been gone. I've had things happen in my life. Nothing too crazy out there. But Armani, what have you been up to in the last 6-7 weeks since we've seen really since we've done a show?
Your boy's making moves. So the minister part of Motor Minister, it's actually happening. I got a couple people actually wanted me to be the minister for their wedding.
This dude told me like a year ago, you're not going to believe this, but I'm a minister. Like I'm licensed to do weddings. And I'm like, all right, well, this is fantastic, right? Because this is the guy that we really need doing weddings. And then he tells me about 2 weeks ago, he's got a client. It's a problem with these things.
Hey, you know how much ministers make per wedding? Anywhere from $200 to $800. They make back. They make like anywhere from $500 to $800, and I can add shit onto that.
Right. Hey, listen, I'm not knocking the hustle. I'm mainly knocking the people who made the decision.
You're not wrong.
I'm not knocking you. Listen, if a clown can make clown money, I'm cool with it, right? Like, but yeah, when I heard that, I lost my mind. Cool thing with me, and then we'll bounce back because, like I said, we both got different things that have happened. So, racing related with me. Well, I guess I'll start non-racing related since you went kind of non-racing related. Did make a new acquisition over the off season. I traded in my 2017 Silverado, 2021 Silverado, and then complained to myself for about 2 weeks about doing that. But growing on me, I've changed out the halogen headlights to LED headlights. Look a lot better. Got me a little rubber bed liner and everything in there. So it's coming together. It's a 6-cylinder, I know. It seems like I'm the only one that even is caring about a 6-cylinder. I've told like all these other macho dudes who you're like, well, you can't have a truck unless it's got 8 cylinders. They haven't said anything, like nothing at all. Nobody cares but me. But I like it. It's a cool truck. Chevrolet Custom 2021. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So that was my non-racing related thing. Armani, I think you got even some more non-racing related things. What else have you been up to?
Well, still got more, actually getting more clients, not minister clients, actually. So certified personal trainers. I'm finally getting some personal training clients. So, that's a little extra, got a couple side hustles. Let's just say that.
Right. I'm proud of you. I mean, hey, side hustles is where it's at. That's what you got to do a lot. I've been able to do that a little bit. And some cool things. Obviously, I still have the Lawrence Speedway thing going on. The Darlington of Dirt, Lawrence County Speedway. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think the Twitter one is at Speedway Lawrence and Instagram is Lawrence Speedway. Those are the two accounts that I run, the Twitter and the Instagram. But another really cool opportunity happened probably about a month or so ago. This is really cool. And this just shows you, like, I'm not a real religious dude, but this shows you, like, how things sometimes line up. And we had somebody comment in there. So the name is Florida Sounds Good, said Brent Duar sent him here. So that's a good sign. But anyways, I bought the truck and I was like freaking out because I'm like, the payment's a little bit higher per month. I got to figure this out. And a really cool contact I had made, who's a local sprint car driver here. There's a traveling sprint car series called the Carolina Sprint Tour. They're in their 5th or 6th, maybe even 7th or 8th season. They've been around for a good chunk of time. They only run right now in the Carolinas. They're building up a lot of steam. I'm doing a little bit of social media work for them. Their Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, just doing some posts, 1 or 2 posts a day. Carolina Sprint Tour. I think on Twitter it's at Tribodyne, which is our series sponsored, Tribodyne lubricants. Really cool, patented blue lubricants. They do like gear and motor oils for literally anything that pretty much moves. They probably got something I could put in these squeaky knees if I needed to. They're pretty cool. So I'm doing some stuff for them. That's a pretty cool side hustle. I was really excited about that, and it's a growing sprint car series, and obviously hope to help them reach bigger goals. 19 race season, I think, this year. 8 different tracks, 8 different cities, and it's gonna be pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much been my off season. Anything else going on with you?
One last thing I'll say. I'll be a little cryptic about it because let's just say, God forbid, people who don't need to know this watch this show for some reason. I mean, hey, more views, more likes. Hey, subscribe, do what you got to do.
Right.
But let's just say the plan is in motion, very much in motion.
Okay, the plan. Won't tell you what the plan is, but just know the plan, this mysterious plan that you have no context to because you probably don't know Armani personally, is in motion.
Exactly. So the plan is in motion.
Well, with that being said, let's get into racing topics. I know Armani, just so everybody knows, Armani was not supposed to actually be in his car tonight. He's talked it, got it planned for future. He's going to be off on Thursdays when we do the show because we have moved the show to Thursdays because on Sunday, we all want to relax and just enjoy race day. But somehow, some way, some reason, they didn't give him off Thursday for this week. So we're going to –
No. Okay, that's not what happened. I originally had off on Thursday, but then they look at my schedule and then they're like, you need more days. And then they put me on a Thursday. And then that was just like, you stupid? So, it's like Tuesday, Thursdays. I need off. Why do you put me on a Tuesday and a Thursday?
Well, hey, you said you're the GOAT, so they just need the GOAT to be there. But,
I mean, I am the GOAT. I mean, you can't deny that. I'm the GOAT. I mean, I'm more than a GOAT. I'm the God. I'm a God.
Okay. All right. We may have to cut off the stream now. But we have moved the show officially to Thursdays at 8 p.m. That is the goal. That is for the foreseeable future, hopefully all season. That's the goal. But obviously it's time to talk about racing. I know Armani has 30 or 40 minutes before he's got to get back to where he's got to go. But until then,
like an hour.
We're going to have fun. And he said, screw it. I'll take a 2-hour lunch break if I need to, or dinner break, whatever you call it when you work that late.
Man, we're committed. We're doing it.
One thing I wanted to comment on before we get too far. I heard some news, I think it was 2 days ago, that blew my mind. I never want to hear NASCAR say that local racing facilities, for the most part, are too dangerous to run races at. I get it. local racing facilities are still a lot of necessarily unadvanced compared to a lot of series NASCAR travels to. Apparently, obviously, we know we're having a Bristol dirt race. Apparently, part of the construction of the Bristol dirt race is they're going to remove the safer barriers to accommodate having the dirt race. So let me get this right. Probably the single most safe thing they've done was make hard walls less hard. And we're going to take all that away because we want to have a dirt race at a track that really probably shouldn't have a dirt race. So it frustrated me because the way I've looked at this, and I'm not even that grassroots of a dirt guy. Locally, I like dirt more now, and that transition has happened over the last year. And working at a dirt track, I really like dirt racing more than I like asphalt at a local level now, especially working hands-on with it. Great people, great atmosphere. But it's sort of, to me, it was almost like a slap in the face to people like Knoxville, Eldora, et cetera, places that are used to hosting big-time dirt racing events. And they kind of, NASCAR did the same thing with road courses when they originally did the Roval. I hated the Roval idea. Now, I've been to the Roval. I love the Roval. And now I love the idea because it is different. And we've now added legitimate road courses. But at first, I was like, let's take the easy way out. Let's not add a legitimate road course. Let's just make one. All right, let's take the easy way out. Let's not get a legitimate dirt track. Let's just make a dirt track. Hell, let's just throw dirt on wherever we want to throw dirt on Martinsville. Throw it on Phoenix. Do whatever we want to do.
Throw it on Daytona. Throw it on Talladega. Big Talladega dirt track.
When I saw the dump truck video last week, I said, if only there were tracks that already had dirt on them. I think that could be a brilliant idea for me and you. We should create tracks that already have dirt on them.
Wait. I got it. Okay. We call it dirt tracks also.
Oh, that's genius. And then we promote it as dirt track racing.
Whoa.
But yeah, that was my little banter. That was my little banter I had to get on because when I heard, and don't get me wrong, I'm super excited for the Bristol Dirt Race. I'm excited, but still want to critique my ideas. One of the most exciting weekends that I am waiting for is that weekend. Me and you have been talking. Maybe we have a live reaction to Truck Xfinity. We'll figure out something. I don't know if I want to do a live reaction to Cup just because I don't know what we're going to be watching. But we'll figure all that out because we got a couple months. I cannot wait. At the same time, I'm like, so you couldn't just, go over there to a place that does this and has a thing called the Knoxville Nationals to where they host even more dangerous race cars and they do more crazier things. And you were just like, no, we're good. We're going to throw dirt on this other thing. But, that was my banter. So what I wanted to get to, and obviously, because the biggest thing is I know you've got time, but I just don't want to get us in a time constraint. I want to make sure we can get through everything. Is me and you sat down probably about a week or so ago, and we were like, all right, first episode's coming up. What are we going to talk about? And we figured this week we are going to talk about the 3 biggest storylines for the Cup Series. And, of course, I had to drop his camera or it would not be in a legitimate episode. Talk about the 3 biggest topics for the Cup Series heading into 2021. Obviously, we're focusing on Cup right now. I think next week we're going to talk about some things that are kind of behind the scenes into a sense that people may be talking about. It's not on the forefront, things that people should be talking about. And what me and you wanted to do is we wanted to collab on these ideas. Typically, if you watch our show, and you'll see a lot of it later in the year, we're gonna have things that we don't even know that we're gonna write down. He'll have his ideas, I'll have mine, but we really wanted to collab on this first episode so we could have a really good conversation and not really a debate on what the topic is. Right. So, first topic is probably the most controversial. Not really. It was very controversial last year, but at the same time, first topics will be really, really interesting. And that is, and I'll let you start leading the way, Armany's now lead horse driver. I'm sure somebody's going to claim he's the lead horse at Hendrick Motorsports in the next month. Is that Kyle Larson returns to full-time racing at Hendrick Motorsports. They've announced he's driving the number 5. He's probably going to be on a lot of the business-to-business sponsorships with Hendrick. But bottom line, who cares about the number? Who cares about the sponsor? Kyle Larson is back to full-time NASCAR Cup Series racing. What say you?
All right. Well, first of all, the lead dog at Hendrick is not the right term we should be using. What we should be using is the most talented driver at Hendrick. So let's start that as a hashtag, the most talented driver at Hendrick. All right.
Here
want
we
to get
go.
that. I want to get that out of the way. Number one. Number two. It's interesting because this is going to be Larson's best Cup car he's ever driven. But it's interesting because I don't know why. Just something's always been in my mind. It's just by how much. Because, yeah, Hendrick won the championship last year, and, yeah, they got 3 drivers to win. But, I mean, Bowman is still very inconsistent. Byron is still very hit or miss. Johnson missed the playoffs. Chase was really the only bright spot, and it's been like that for a few years. So we're really going to see – yeah, you're welcome. But
really the lead horse at Hendrick Motorsports.
But is he the most talented? Not anymore. Anyway.
At worst, he's like 1.5. If just I'll take second. We'll round up. At worst, he's second. I had wide margin over third and fourth.
So it's going to be interesting to see like how much of the difference is between him and Ganassi and him and Hendrick. Now, granted, he hasn't been in the car for almost a year, so obviously, he's probably going to start off slow. However, because it's not like he hasn't been doing anything. Obviously, he's been running dirt, which, I'm pretty sure everyone says, penciled in him the winner of the Bristol Dirt Race if he doesn't DNF, might I add. You still got like 30 other guys who don't know what the hell they're doing on dirt. But it's going to be interesting to see how quickly he adapts back to the Cup Series. I mean, he's with the same manufacturer. He's basically with probably the same engines. So it shouldn't be that much of a big transition as if you were maybe if you were to go like a JGR or like an SHR. It should be fairly a quick transition. It's just a matter of how quickly is he going to adjust to, being back in the Cup Series. Another thing is this 5 car. There's always that, there's always that car at Hendrick that's usually worse than the others, especially because Larson hasn't been the Cup car for so long. Is he going to start off as that weak Hendrick car, or is it going to continue throughout the season?
Well, I had to guess he'll probably be the second guy in line. I would imagine him and Chase's stuff are going to be kind of side by side, and Alex and Williams' stuff will be kind of side by side. Even though a few years ago they kind of went away with that, and they all work together. Really, if you look at Kyle's career, kind of the numbers aspect of it, he has 223 Cup Series starts. He's got 6 wins, 56 top 5s, 101 top 10s, 8 poles. His best point. I've been very critical of Kyle. I really respect Kyle. Kyle is probably the most talented driver we've had come in since maybe a Tony Stewart. Just pure Juan Montoya's you got to put up there. But just in general, he is this generation's. I'm not going to say he's Tony Stewart because right now he couldn't lace up Tony Stewart's shoes and what he has accomplished in NASCAR. But he is that certain guy. Comes from that dirt background, a world-class dirt driver, probably a top 10 dirt driver in the world right now. Some people would debate he's the best dirt driver in the world right now. Kyle Larson's great, but I've been very critical of him in NASCAR. He's been somewhat overrated. That dirt success sometimes hasn't really translated to Cup success. But the way I see it is you also have to look at what he did in this package. Last year, he had 4 starts with this package. He had 3 top 10 finishes, 1 top 5 before obviously the situation happened last year. But I'm going to throw this out. I'm preparing to make my predictions for next year. I haven't made them yet, but one of my predictions, I'm not going to say it directly, but I'll hint at it. I could see a world where Kyle Larson goes winless in his first year back, or in his first year with Hendrick. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to make the playoffs. I'm not that kind of, he's going to finish 20th in points and look like Casey Kane in his final year. No, he's going to be good. I just don't necessarily think he is. People are thinking he's automatically going to win 3 or 4 races. I don't even know if he's necessarily going to win the dirt race. Remember, it took him a few tries to win the Eldora race, and he was by far the most talented driver in the field pretty much any time he started that race. So, Kyle is going to be – I'm glad to have him back. I really do feel like he made a really hard effort to learn from his situation from last year. I feel like he's done a lot of things, really stepped in the right direction with some of those decisions he's made since that situation from last year. So I'm actually proud of what he has done. I'm really looking forward to having him back. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. I think they're going to get some of that grassroots racing fandom back in, watching what can Kyle do and, all that kind of things. But, I think people have to pump the brakes on a championship run all of a sudden, always with Hendrick. So that's going to fix all of Hendrick's problems, going to fix all of Larson's problems. So one thing I wanted me and you to do now, obviously he's going to be your favorite driver is What do you foresee this year? What do you expect from Kyle? Obviously, he is going to play a factor down the long run, I think, in terms of playoffs. He adds another name on that list that could really make a march for the playoffs. What do you expect from him? And maybe sense of maybe a stat line.
I think at the beginning of the season he's going to slow. It's interesting because at the beginning of the season there is really where the tracks that he's good at are. You got Bristol, the dirt. You got Homestead as the third race of the season. So you got his good tracks are at the beginning of the season. But that, in a weird way, is going to be an Achilles. It can either benefit him or be his Achilles heel because it's like he's just coming back in the Cup Series. But then again, we're going to all these tracks he's really good at. You can argue how many wins he should have at Homestead. Obviously, he's like basically the god of dirt at this point. So that might be able to help his process to get back in the Cup easier. But I think he's going to start off. I think he's going to start off slow. I think he's going to have a very Mark Martin 2009 kind of season. Maybe not as successful, like finishing second in points, like 24 top tens or whatever. But I think that it's going to start off really slow and then just pick up and pick up and pick up as the season goes on. So as a stat line, I think he'll get 2 wins. I'm not saying which ones they are. I think he's going to have at least 2. 10 top 5s, 19 top 10s, an average finish at around 13th to 14th range, and a P7 points finish.
Me, I have a little bit further off than that. I think this reminds me a lot, and this reminds me a lot of Casey Kane. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that Larson isn't a more talented driver than Casey Kane. Remember, Casey Kane had this kind of hot shoe background as well. This reminds me a lot of Casey Kane when he first came into Hendrick, and I remember thinking, man, this dude is about to win 10 races a year. He's going to win a Cup Series championship eventually. I mean, this is going to be the guy for the next few years, and he got nowhere close to that. Struggled to make the playoffs every year. I can't even remember I think he won multiple races, maybe his first season with Hendrick. Right now, as a stat line for Kyle Larson, I'm going to go out on that limb and say I don't see him finding victory lane in year one. I won't be surprised if he does, but just for now, I'm going to say no wins in 2021 because he struggled to win in his entire Cup career thus far. And I know people are going to say, well, he was with Ganassi. People, when Kyle Larson's in a Ganassi car, all of a sudden he might as well be running for Front Row Motorsports, and they don't have any power. They don't have any business running up front. You put Matt Kenseth in the 42 car, and all of a sudden you're saying, well, why isn't Matt running towards the front? So, it's kind of picky-choosy with Kyle so far and where he runs. I'm going to say so far, 0 wins. I'm going to give him 5 or 6 top 5s. I've got him in the 14 to 17 top 10 range, and I've got him finishing 10th in points. I'm probably going to end up eating my words. He may run a little bit better, but I've seen this story before. Driver-team combo, you're thinking there is no way this does not work out, and then it doesn't, at least in year one. Kyle's got to get his feet back under him. I don't think it'll take too long. But remember, he struggled with this package even before the situation last year and the year before. He may have started out decently well. Last year, but again, only one top 5. And I expect Kyle to be a guy that can compete for top 10s almost every single week, even in the 42 car. He had that capability. Look at what Kurt Busch is. Kurt Busch has won races back-to-back seasons, but all of a sudden the 42 car is a C-tier team. I always have to hear that debate back and forth. So that's what I have for Kyle. I think easily makes the playoffs. Right now, I'm going to say, and it's a bit of a hot take. It's a bit me throwing it out there, something a little bit different, but I could legitimately see a year where he does not win.
It wouldn't be new. I mean, 2018, after his impressive season beforehand, he went winless in 2018.
Right. I mean, again, that's what I'm saying. He has struggled to win, period. We've seen him have cars that should have won races, and he didn't win races.
The weird thing about Larson is you can honestly make an argument for most of his winless seasons. 2014, you could say he was a rookie, even though he probably should have made the playoffs that year. And there was like 2 or 3 races he could have won. 2015 is really the one year you can't really say anything. But then again, you can argue the sophomore slump. 2016 he won. 2017 he won. 2018 you can make an argument about the new Camaro because, I think only 2 Chevy drivers won that year, Chase and Austin Dillon. Everyone else kind of sucked with the Camaro. 2019, yeah.
That's the thing with Kyle Larson. There's always an excuse. And every Chevrolet, Austin Dillon has no excuse. People tell him he should be booed out of his ride every single year, even though he's won a Daytona 500, even though he's made the playoffs, I believe, 3 out of the last 5 seasons. But he should be booted out of his ride. If Chase Elliott goes winless this year, ain't nobody going to say, well, it was a drought.
4 out of 5.
Heavy, I like Kyle Larson a lot, but Kyle Larson gets a lot of excuses made for Kyle Larson. And I hope he's wrong. I mean, the sport benefits from Kyle Larson being at the front. I hope it happens. We need it to happen. I'm one of the few guys out here saying, calm it down. This isn't a sprint car. You're not going to go out here and win races.
Here's the thing, though. We've seen in the past where it's like some drivers, they'll have an off year, where something doesn't really go right. And then the next year, they just come out swinging. I mean, people forget Joey Logano was pretty bad in 2017, missed the playoffs after that encumbered win, had an average finish, I believe, around the 15 range. And then the next year, he just completely goes off and wins the championship. You can argue what the playoff system, this and that, but at the end of the day, that's what he did. He went from not even making the playoffs last year to becoming champion. So it's like we've seen it before where it's like some drivers will have an off year. And look, Denny Hamlin in 2018, winless, 11th point. Everyone was saying, kick him out. And then look what he does, 2019.
Before we go to the second thing, I was just about to say, 3 years ago, people said that Denny Hamlin should lose his ride. The last 2 years, he's won the Daytona 500. He's been a favorite to win the championship. And everybody's praising Denny Hamlin. I remember there were people 3 years ago.
I remember. So, yeah, I'm saying, like, we've seen this before where drivers who, they don't have a great season, barring, what it is, and then they completely come out swinging this year. Again, I still think Larson's going to start off slow, but I think as the season goes on, he's going to get – I think by come playoff time, he will be dangerous.
We're going to see. A lot of people have him winning that dirt race. I think there's going to be an immense amount of pressure for him winning that dirt race. I don't necessarily know if he wins the dirt race. We will see. But before we get keep going down the rabbit hole, because me and you could probably talk about Larson for a good chunk of time. Let's get to the second of 3 storylines for the 2021 season, and that is the 2021 schedule. Obviously, a bunch of changes this year. Just a list that we had kind of made of some of the big hitters. The Busch Clash is going to be on the road course at Daytona. And I think I remembered. I think it's on a weekday this year. I think completely changed. Wednesday, I believe. So the Daytona Road Course also is going to actually be on the regular season schedule because Auto Club has already been nixed for this year due to COVID things, and California pretty much being its own world at this point. We've mentioned the Bristol Dirt Race. Darlington gets 2 races. Circuit of the Americas, a race that I'm very excited about. That's going to be on the schedule. Texas, for whatever god-awful reason, gets the All-Star race this year. The only way that will make any sense is if they run – I would love if they ran the next-gen car for the All-Star race. Like, give me something to watch. I do not want to see this package just riding circles around Texas. They better run the track backwards. They better run the next-gen car. They better say everybody has to swap cars, and the guys who are 30th in points get to drive the points. They better do something stupid because other than that, I do not care about watching the All-Star race at Texas. Nashville on the schedule. Which obviously the hope and the prayer is that maybe that helps us go back to the fairgrounds eventually. Road America's on the schedule, and now if we already didn't ruin the Brickyard 400, now we decided to throw it on a road course. So a lot of road course racing this year, a lot of big changes. Really, people, I'm excited about road course racing. I imagine you are. A lot of racing.
One thing you forgot. Atlanta gets 2 days again.
Yeah, well, that really needed to happen, I'm sure. Atlanta just needed 2 days. We couldn't find a short track anywhere that needed a date, but Atlanta needs 2 dates. I've been to Atlanta races like 2 of the last 3 years. It don't need 2 dates. All right. I love it if they changed Atlanta to its old format, the way it used to be back in the day when it was just an oval and didn't have the quad oval. Hey, I'm game. They keep letting Atlanta wear out. I'm cool. Right now, Atlanta, as much as I like Atlanta and the drivers love Atlanta and it is very racy, under this package, it does not need 2 races. So one thing we were going to start off with before we dive into the road course part of it is I would imagine me and you have discussed Auto Club's already off the schedule. I have a feeling Sonoma is going to be called off any week now. Do you think we should go ahead and have a backup plan for Sonoma? And what do you think that backup plan should be?
Sonoma's in the summer. However, with the way I'm not going to get political, even though I really could, but I'm not going to get political. Just the way California is run, apparently there's a lot of rumors where it's like they don't even want any sporting events in 2021. I would not be shocked to see Sonoma knocked off the schedule. Now, yeah, I'm pretty sure NASCAR does have a backup plan for that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised they have a backup plan for Watkins Glen or any other, states that they race in that are very, restrictive. So, Sonoma, I wouldn't be surprised they get knocked out. It's probably going to be at a track. It's another thing, too, because it's going to be, you can make two arguments. You can make the argument that they should do it at Charlotte or, at Charlotte or, Darlington, kind of like what they did this year, because, it's where all the teams are located. But then you can also make an argument of where the teams are really going to be at before Sonoma. I don't remember exactly the schedule. Maybe the schedule is they're like around the Charlotte, Darlington area.
You had called it because my idea was let's give Homestead a second date. And you made a brilliant realization that I would say is probably going to be what happens. I'm going to go ahead and say when Sonoma gets canceled, and that is the Sonoma is the first race after the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte.
Right.
Last year, they pretty much did this to replace Sonoma. They had a second race at Charlotte. That's the race.
Exactly.
Coca-Cola 600, Alan Gustafson decided to throw away Chase Elliott's first crown jewel win. Let's go ahead and just wait till the Charlotte race that didn't really matter and win the 300-mile Charlotte race. So that's probably what's going to happen. You came up with that. That's all credit to you. My mind was like, let's go to Homestead. Let's do this.
I'd love to go to Homestead twice a year.
I mean, I'd be game for it, but it does make a lot of sense. You're already in Charlotte. Teams are at home. That doesn't really disrupt the schedule. If anything, at that point, that would be like three. Actually, because the All-Star race, we talked about that. That's going to be going. But that gives them a good 2-3 weeks at home. I think that would be a really good break for the teams to kind of replace the All-Star race not being in Charlotte anymore. That would be a really cool kind of break for the teams. Assuming Sonoma gets called, I would imagine that. I'm going to be shocked if they run a Sonoma this year. Listen, I had a hot take last year that I'd be fine if Sonoma got removed off the schedule. I hate that, but I'm not going to be missing anything if Sonoma's not ran this year. Sonoma just has not been great the last few years. We've got plenty of other new road courses to see that with. And speaking of road courses, obviously here we are. So as of now, this is if Sonoma is on the schedule. We have the Daytona Road Course, COTA, obviously Circuit of the Americas, Sonoma, Road America, Watkins Glen, the Roval, and the Indy Road Course. 7 road courses. And obviously all of them different mixes. Daytona we finally saw last year on the road course. COTA, I think, is probably the most anticipated on this list. I'm also really looking forward to Road America. We've seen the Xfinity Series at Road America. I have no clue why we have not been there in the last half decade. Sonoma and Watkins Glen we've seen. And, again, who knows if we can go to Watkins Glen. I think New York's opened things up more than they were last year. There's probably a decent shot to go to Watkins Glen, but we'll see. Roval has obviously become a really, really cool thing. That's going to happen. And then you got the Indianapolis Road Course. So one of the biggest controversies has been that NASCAR's doing this to help Chase Elliott win a championship. I mean, Chase Elliott, they rigged the championship for him to win last year. And they just added, finally, they know he's going to win. They just added a bunch of road courses so Chase Elliott can win the championship. What say you on that? Does adding this many road courses and now having 7 on the schedule, does it pretty much hand Chase Elliott the 2021 Cup Series title?
After Harvick missed the Final Four this year, no. Chase Elliott can win all the road course races, win all the stages, have like 50, which would give him what, like 40-ish, 50-ish playoff points.
Yeah.
He could still miss the Final Four. We've seen that. You can have like over 60-plus playoff points, and then you could pull a Kevin Harvick and then just try to turn Kyle Busch and then, hit your rear end to the wall. So we've seen it before to where that doesn't really work. As for what they're saying with adding all these new road courses, though, giving Chase Elliott the win, this and that, people forget Martin Truex Jr. is still in the race. Like, it's not like Chase Elliott, like, besides the Roval, it's not like Chase Elliott's really, just been handed these race wins. I mean, his first win in 2018 at Watkins Glen, Truex was right on his tail. 2019 at Watkins Glen, I mean, I think they had an issue on pit road in the road course race at Daytona. Truex will probably been right on his tail also. So it's not like Chase Elliott just walking away, like winning all these road course races by 300 laps, pretty much looking like Lewis Hamilton out there.
Right, and you made a really good point. I mean, the playoffs only have one road course, the Roval. So a lot of people are thinking this and that. Kevin Harvick proved that nobody is safe. I mean, it was hard. You could still tell me right now, and I know what's happening, but heading into Martinsville, I would still pick Kevin Harvick to be the champion. And it's crazy. I mean, in reality, yes, he deserved to run for the championship, but that's not how the points played out. You hit up a good point. Chase Elliott could literally win every road course race, and he would be just like Kevin Harvick potentially. I mean, there's one road course race in the entire playoffs, and what ultimately won Chase Elliott the championship was not the road course race. Obviously, it helps to win, go to the next round, but he showed up at Martinsville and dominated. He goes to Phoenix, and from what I remember from the race, he pretty much dominated most of the Phoenix races.
153 out of 312 laps led.
Right, but at no point was he seriously counted. He had the one situation with Logano, and that was really about it. That's what won him the championship, not the road courses. And everybody, Chase is going to win 10 races next year. I mean, it's amazing how 3 or 4 drivers are all going to win 10 races next year. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman. I mean, Hendrick Motorsports may win 30 races next year from what I'm hearing from fans. But, people have asked me. Right now, I think Chase Elliott wins 4 races this coming year. I think 1 or 2 of them are road courses. I think there's a lot of road courses he's not going to win at. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see him sweep it. I mean, look, what kind of NASCAR history would that be? I mean, if he won all of them, he would already break Jeff Gordon's road course win record. I mean, so, then we could really call him the road course king, because please do not respect Jeff Gordon until Chase Elliott has 11 or 12 road course wins. Right now, I think he's got 5. So, road course prince, we've already established that. The king we might work on here in a couple of years. But, yeah, I mean, me and you have been in agreement on this since we've heard the conversation. This doesn't guarantee anything. This doesn't lock up anything. 1 out of 10 races in the playoffs is a road course. So, if you think 1 out of 10 races defines the season and what you're going to win at, then there's a lot of pissed off drivers because they won a race in the playoffs and they did not win the championship. And I think NASCAR needs to demand a recount on those points, because that's clearly one race that stop the count. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. So to answer this question, what do you think the road courses do impact? What is something that we can see, me and you can both maybe expect this year that would be different?
Because the road courses are very – because here's the thing, it's not like the road courses that we're racing at. They're all so different in their own sense. Like, we call Chase – going back, we call Chase Elliott the road course king. He's not that good at Sonoma. I think he only has like 1 top 5 finish at Sonoma. Yeah, he's got the Roval win. He's got all these other wins. But, like, Sonoma's kind of – could we see that happen in, like, let's say a Road America or Circuit of the Americas or at the Indy Road Course? Another thing we might see is we might see a better variety of first-time winners. Chase Briscoe's a really good road course racer. Austin Cindric could be the next guy to run on a part-time schedule to win since Justin Haley, obviously, in 2019.
Got Matt DiBenedetto. I'm sure there's going to be – I think one thing that we could see to kind of attribute to that, maybe this is something we see over the next 2 or 3 years. This could maybe spark the return of road course ringers. I mean, back in the day, or really the last decade, it hasn't been worth it for a team to invest a lot of money in just 2 races. Now you've literally got like a fifth of the Cup Series schedule as road course races. It sort of makes sense. You could build a couple of road course cars and run 7 races, not just 2. I mean, hell, back in the day, you had a road course car, but I imagine many teams came there with just a car they sort of designed for a road course. Now you're literally going to have specialty road course cars that you're going to see run in all 7 races. And maybe this is where you start seeing some of those IndyCar drivers come back over. Maybe we get a Lewis Hamilton or a Formula One driver in a couple years. This is how you draw those guys in. Make it worth their while. You know, what's the point of going through the NASCAR licensing process and this and that and the semantics of being a NASCAR driver? Run 2 races. Now you can run 7 races. A legitimate – I mean, 10 years ago, that would have been enough to no longer qualify you as a rookie the next year if you tried to run for Rookie of the Year. It's a good chunk of races. I think that's something we can see. I think that's something that could impact us over the next couple of years in a very positive way. I also agree with you. I think this is your chance for a Matt DiBenedetto, an Austin Cindric. You know, when I first heard someone say Austin Cindric might be able to win, at first I was like, nah, but if you think about it, I mean, why couldn't he? If he's in a Penske car, why couldn't he go win? If he starts all 7 road course races, he's at least going to get a couple of top 5s. And if you can finish in the top 5, you're only a couple spots away from winning. So, I mean, it's a legitimate thing that can happen. Chase Briscoe, I mean, there's a legitimate shot. You could see a guy like that go out there and and win as a rookie. And I think it's going to be really, really cool to see who really shines. And I think it'll be really cool as well, because I think something me and you need to try to do is when all 7 road course races are said and done, at some point we should just look at like who is the best over those 7 races. Because, that's really going to show you for moving forward, NASCAR is going to have road course racing. And this isn't going to catapult anybody to a championship all of a sudden, but it is going to play a significant role in who makes the playoffs and what the playoffs mean to certain drivers.
I just thought of an idea. NASCAR, like, as a marketing thing. So, they used to have the Noble Million, like, way back in the day, where, you qualify for certain race and you win the race, you win $1 million.
Yep.
NASCAR should have something like that for the road course. Like, maybe, like, kind of like the Dash for Cash, but for all the road course races. And whoever, like, has, like, the most wins or, like, the most top 5s or top 10s gets, like, $1 million bonus. Because in a way, like,
that definitely the drivers up on the wheel. Here's another scary thought about road course racing, and this is just a turn a complete negative. Like, there's more road courses on the schedule than there are short tracks in NASCAR. But that's a subject for another day. But I like where you're going. I think it would be really cool to incentivize that. But I think this significantly makes road course racing more important. You could kind of forget about it with 2 or 3 races on the schedule. Obviously, the road wheel you can't just forget about, but it still only really matters for the playoff guys. Now you have 6. If you're a guy, I'm trying to think of a guy, Matt DiBenedetto, a guy that I've said I don't know if he'll ever win at the Cup level. I've predicted him not to win a race in 2021, even though I'm kind of getting nervous when I think about these road courses. But he hasn't showed up yet in his career, so why would he now on a road course? This is his shot. He's got 6 legitimate chances in the regular season to say, hey, this is road course racing. I've got a really good opportunity to either A, win the race, or B, have a really, really good point stay. In those 5 or 6 really, really good point stay, opposed to a Bubba Wallace, who is terrible on road courses, could easily be the difference in a playoff spot or not. So I think that's going to be something to watch out for. And the next thing I want to get into, and the reason is because me and you still have a good chunk of stuff to talk about, and I know you got to roll here in a little bit, is some other big details. Obviously, we talked about the Bristol dirt race, and we're going to Nashville. So real quick, what are your thoughts on the dirt race, and what are your thoughts on Nashville?
Nashville, it's more of, as we've heard it before, it's not really necessarily about going to the super speedway. It's about building up the interest so that they can go to the dirt track. So hopefully people show up to the fair, to the racetrack, has good TV rating. That way we can actually get to what they're trying to go for, which is the fairgrounds. Hopefully have more short tracks finally. The dirt race, I love it. Beautiful idea. I heard about it. I'm sold. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be crazy, and I can't wait.
Yeah, again, when it comes to Nashville, we all are kind of – even Dale Jr. was like, this is not what I was expecting. And then he kind of smiled like this. I'm going to be excited just because I get excited for any new track. So Nashville is still going to be cool for the first time being there. And it's just been a few years since we've all seen Nashville. I know it used to be on the Truck and Xfinity schedule regularly every single year, and it's been gone for a handful of years. But, obviously at the end of the day, if we go 3 years and we still don't have the fairgrounds, this is pretty much a wasted experiment. You just pretty much put another cookie cutter on the schedule for no reason. So this better lead to something. Otherwise, you just wasted your time. I know fans in the area are buying a lot of tickets. I think they're almost sold out for what they're being allotted for COVID regulations, so that's great. But we also saw that early on with Kentucky, and then Kentucky kind of fizzled out. So we will see. Who knows? Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe Nashville puts on a fantastic show. Maybe it's been getting weathered and torn down the last few years, and maybe it's going to be primed and ready to roll for a great Cup show. But we'll see. Dirt track-wise, I pretty much said it earlier. I'm really, really excited. I'm going to be very, very excited that weekend of. But, again, I would have preferred to Knoxville and Eldora, the Charlotte dirt track, who, I don't know, is literally 45 seconds from Hendrick Motorsports, 20 seconds from Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you're walking, a minute and a half. That would have been really, really cool to see. But now let's get into our final thing because, again, I just don't want to get us too time crunch. How much more time you got?
17 minutes.
17 minutes. Let's get it. So the final big point we were going to talk about, so obviously we've talked about Kyle Larson coming back. We've talked about the schedule. So if you want to catch it back on that, just make sure you rewind this thing. Final thing while we're live here is new Cup Series teams. just in general, there seems to be a lot of interest in NASCAR. Really, I mean, I've heard a lot of conversation in the last few years. A lot of teams dabbling in the Truck Series. A lot of teams talking about flirting with the Cup Series in a couple of years. I mean, I think this could be the first year where we may have legitimately 4 or 5 teams get sent home from the Daytona 500. At least that's what the buildup sounds like. We'll see what really happens because, you have Money Team Racing, who has supposedly been in existence for 3 years. We haven't seen them show up to the Cup track once. So, we'll see. Floyd Money Mayweather, I would love to have him in the sport, but I'm really kind of tired of hearing about Money Team Racing because clearly there's not enough money to have a team right now. We have not seen them. But just a quick list of new teams, at least notable new teams that I've got, and there may be 1 or 2 other out there. There's always usually an Xfinity Series team or 2 who will put together a Cup car for the 500. But you have Trackhouse with Dustin Marks, Daniel Suarez is going to run there full time. Big time Richard Childress Racing affiliation. 23XI, obviously probably the most notable new team. Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, huge race team and partnership that, people may hate it, but I really think it would be huge for them to be successful, regardless of how Bubba Wallace and that team has gotten their publicity and things that have happened. If he has success, it is huge for our sport. So not only do I like Bubba, I'm cheering just for him, but also for what it could mean for our sport moving forward. You have Money Team Racing. We still put them on the list. That's kind of a conspiracy. That's kind of like you got 9/11. You've got kind of got Money Team Racing. We're all kind of grouped into like the moon landing, all that kind of stuff.
Money Team Racing did 9/11.
They say somebody told me don't say 23XI. It is 2311. I don't know why I read it as that. It is 2311, but I'm getting tired. It's 9 o'clock and I got to wake up early to work out. So. And then the last thing is Live Fast Motorsports with BJ McLeod and Matt Tift. Really an awkward kind of partnership that popped up, I think, in December. But I think they've got a charter and they're going full-time racing. I believe McLeod's going to run the car. Tift, I don't believe, is medically cleared to come back to competition. Who knows if he ever will, obviously, for his sake. Hope he does. Hope he gets to come back. But what do you think right now? I mean, what say you, first of all, about the climate right now? It seems like there are a lot of people really excited about what the next gen car could be and really excited about being at the Cup level.
It's weird because there's the good news is that, there are teams that are interested, but the bad thing is it feels like it's kind of being negated with the amount of teams that have bowed out. I mean, look at Germain Racing, look at Furniture Row, look at Levine Family Racing. So it's like with the amount of new teams coming in, the same amount of teams are coming out. So I'd like it better, if there were more teams coming in and less teams coming out. But I mean, hey, it's better. But at least we're stabilizing. We're not necessarily the net negative. So it's good if there's a lot of interest in the sport. I think also maybe just because this is me being a little bit of a negative Nancy, but with this next gen car, at least for the short term, you're going to see a lot of smaller fields. So that might, in theory, increase the value of a charter. So maybe that's why we're seeing a lot more teams coming out of nowhere.
Well, see, I have a weird feeling it could maybe actually do the opposite. I think we're really good at supposedly this car is going to be cheaper in the long run. Up front, there's going to be an expense because obviously they're changing wheels, wheel sizes, going to single studs, all the safety, blah, 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 blah. All the things we're going through. It's going to be expensive. I heard there's certain parts of the vehicle that are 6 times more expensive than they were on the current car now. But at the end of the day, all these things are supposed to be really reusable and all this kind of stuff. But let's get out of all that. I think there is a chance that a lot of people, and obviously this is yet to be determined if this is false hope or if this really happens, they're really banking on the next gen being a financially stable thing to happen. And I think you could have 40, 45 cars show up to Daytona next year, maybe even more if you get a couple of truck or Xfinity Series teams that said, hey, let's put a Cup car together. I think maybe we could even have increased fields originally. Now, obviously, the success on that is going to dictate a lot. If the next gen car does not save money, it could be the death of NASCAR. If it does what it's supposed to do, maybe it's a resurgence. But what you said was very notable. I mean, it's quick to forget that, the Levine Family Racing is gone. Germain Racing is gone. You kind of forget about those things when you see this new toy and you're excited about. But at least we got something that negated each other. At least we didn't just lose 2 or 3 teams and we'd be running the Daytona 500 with just 37 cars opposed to 40. So thankful for that. and hopefully that builds towards the future. And then our last kind of thing we can talk about, and we can kind of go through one, kind of one by one. Two of them will probably go pretty quick. The other two we probably have a decent conversation about. But what are your expectations on what these cars are going to do? Let's kind of start with the odd one out. Money Team Racing. A, do they even show up to the track this year? B, if they do, what do you expect?
I think we're going to finally see them maybe in a one-off race. I don't know what race that'll be. I mean, it'd be kind of funny. Maybe they show up in the Bristol Dirt Race and then they somehow win. But in reality, they'll probably show up to like maybe one race, and I wouldn't be surprised if they DNF'd. So like 40.
With this team, Colleague is going to be running in the Cup Series.
That's right.
Colleague is also going to be there. And I'm telling you, I've heard people say Matt and Brett Griffin's talk about it. I think Matt Colleague is a guy who is dedicated to being full-time Cup one day. I think we're watching the birth of a future full-time Cup Series team. But anyways, well, not really the birth. They've ran races in the past, but they're going to step up that program this year with Kaz Gralla, which I was a little surprised about. But or at least Kaz Gralla for the Daytona 500. Also, my boy Noah Gregson's going to be in the Daytona 500, or at least attempt it with Beard Motorsports. But Money Team Racing, I've cracked enough jokes on them. I legitimately don't know if they're ever going to be a real race team. If they are, they're going to run in the back. That's just how it is. You can't fiddle around with wanting to be a Cup Series team and then all of a sudden be taken seriously. I would absolutely love for Floyd Mayweather to be there. He draws eyeballs. He's a personality. He attracts a lot of people, attracts a lot of money, attracts a lot of sponsors. I'll take it. I'm cool with it. Hopefully it happens, but they got to be at the racetrack before I can ever even think about what to expect. But if I had to guess, they're going to be near the back of the pack. Live Fast Motorsports, BJ McLeod, Matt Tifft. I think they have some sort of Stewart-Haas alliance. I think it's very similar to Go Fast Racing, which in a sense was like, we're going to give you a sticker with Stewart-Haas on there, but you're not really Stewart-Haas. Like, that's what it almost felt like. They ran a little bit better, and Corey LaJoie did what he could with the car, but they still broke like a water pump like literally every other week. Live Fast Motorsports, what do you expect?
I think it's going to be Go Fast, hopefully with less DNFs. So probably around the 29th to 31st points range, especially because I don't even know when the last time BJ McLeod ran a full season in Cup. So I say they're probably going to run around where Go Fast did.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a good margin. Remember, Go Fast is going to part-time, but it's funny because they'll probably still run right around where Go Fast is, even though they're running the entire schedule. Unless Stewart-Haas is just massively stepping up partnership for whatever reason, which I don't see happening. This is going to be Go Fast 2.0. Excited to see Matt Tifft back in the sport in some way, in some fashion. BJ McLeod is apparently a really, really cool guy who has found some really, really cool ways to run Xfinity Series teams and Cup teams. So cool for those guys. I hope they have success. I just where you're spot on and where my assessment would be where I think they would run. This next one is probably in a weird sense the least, even more unknown than probably Money Team Racing because that's probably non-existent. But Trackhouse with Justin Marks, Team Trackhouse, partnership with RCR, Daniel Suarez is going to be the full-time driver. I really don't know what to expect. I guess maybe Jermaine could kind of be where you compare them to. But from what I've heard, I know an inside source told me, this is months ago, so things may have changed. I believe he told me this car is getting built at RCR. I would assume the same thing happened with Jermaine. Cannot confirm that, though. What do you think? Is this a third RCR car? Are they going to run any well, or are we just pretty much looking at the Geico Chevrolet 2.0?
Part of me wants to – here's the thing. It's because it's going to be a third RCR. It's basically going to be a third RCR car.
Right.
I believe so. I think it's going to be better than the Jermaine car. I don't know. I think this could go either two ways. This could either be a Jermaine 2.0 or this could be a playoff contending car. Like this could go two ways. It can either be a 15th points paying car or it could be like a 25th place paying car. It's just we don't know a lot about this team. That's the thing. It's like we know what's going on with 2311 Racing. We know what's going on with Trackhouse. We don't know what's really going on with Trackhouse. With Live Fast, I meant to say. Trackhouse, we don't really it feels probably the most unknown out of all of it. Like I honestly believe they can either compete for a playoff spot or run 25th. That's how I feel about them.
I shook my head no regardless while you were talking. For one, RCR, it's not like RCR is up to par. They only had they only had one car make the playoffs last year, which arguably was the second best car, which ended up being the best car because Austin Dillon ended up putting together a very solid playoff run in the first half. We saw some flashes out of Tyler Reddick. So even if it was a legit RCR car, I'm not so confident they run that well. I mean, they maybe could flirt with a playoff spot, but it's really unique because you don't know that partnership. Obviously, this is way different than Germain, but Bob Germain also committed a lot of money to racing, and that team was never that great. So that'll be really, really interesting to see. I would right now have to say they're going to be Germain, maybe slightly better with Justin Marks being there. I'm sure he's going to be really, really driven to make this a successful venture. But, I would say 25th, 27th, maybe I'll give him a little bit higher, 20th to 25th in points. Daniel Suarez may add a little bit to that, but, my take on Daniel Suarez. I'm kind of indifferent about Daniel at this point. I think he's blown his opportunities at the top level of the sport. So he's got a shot to earn it back. He's got to do a lot of hard work, though. Maybe this is the place to go. And then the final team, probably the most controversial team here, and then we'll wrap things up for the night, is 2311 Motorsports, 2311 Racing, however you want to phrase it. Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, and Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace, they unveiled their first paint scheme earlier today. DoorDash going to be a huge partner for them. This is the first team that had to turn away sponsorship in a long time. What are your expectations? What do you think this team is going to give us this year?
I'm not going to go on the bandwagon and say that Bubba Wallace is automatically going to win like 3 or 4 races. It's still a brand new team. I mean, we've seen teams, established teams like, Bob Levine, where, they had like that brand new alliance, but it's like it still took, they have never ended up winning. They were established teams. 23, it will be interesting because Denny Hamlin is the owner. We're really going to see how much, that can influence, I guess, like how fast that team wins. That's also going to be another thing too. Denny Hamlin being a team owner, how is that going to affect his performance on the racetrack? We can get to that probably in another episode, but is that going to affect it? Will he be still a championship contender, or, will he just fizzle back into the field? But I think Bubba Wallace, he's going to come in with a lot to prove. I think Denny Hamlin, I think he's going to try to set up his, post NASCAR driving career very nicely. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Michael Jordan, he's more or less going to be the face of this, just be the face to attract sponsors, this and that. For prediction, I don't have them making the playoffs. I think they'll be a fringe playoff contender, but I don't think they're going to make it. I think they'll be around 15th to 18th of points. I see them finishing around 17th to 18th.
This team is one of the most mysterious heading into the season. This feels very, very familiar to Levine Family Racing. What I think the more realistic comparison may be the middle between Front Row and Levine Family Racing. So somewhere here. Because when you have to turn away sponsorship, it sounds like you've got all the money you need to make this car go fast. I have no clue if that was necessarily the case with Levine Family Racing. Obviously, they had full-time sponsorship, but I would imagine the price tag to be on a 2311 car is much higher than it was to be on a Levine Family Racing car. So maybe Bob Levine asked for $15 million for entire season sponsorship. Well, I would imagine DoorDash and them had to give anywhere from $25 to $30 million, maybe a little bit less than that margin. Let's just say $20 to $25 million. All right, well, that's still $8 to $10 million more dollars of better equipment, better access to research and data and machines. So that's the tricky part is when you hear the words we had to turn away sponsorship. In theory, they have as many resources as they want, if not more. So much so, they told people, nah, we good. So that's going to be the part that you have to really look at. So I think it's going to be in between because Furniture Row obviously was a championship organization, and Levine Family Racing was Levine Family Racing. I think we could be kind of right there in the middle. I don't think Bubba wins a race this year. He could compete. I would love for him to win a race. There's a lot of people I would love to laugh at if he could win a cup race. Just don't know if it's going to happen. The other factor here that I think could make this different than the other partnerships is the fact that Mr. Dennis the Menace, Denny Hamlin, is involved. I think Joe Gibbs is directly and maybe even to a part personally tied to this organization. For one, I'm sure he's gotten to be tired of every other year we have to find a new partner. Every other year we have to do contracts, and we're going to give this chassis and motors and do this. That's got to be tiresome, whatever the word is going to be, tiring to do. As about as tired as I'm about to be. Tiring to do that every other year, to find that new Toyota partner, to convince someone to switch to Toyota. I'm sure they're tired of doing that. And two, he's dealt with Denny Hamlin since, I believe, 2006. He has been with Denny for over a decade and a half. Denny Hamlin was the same kid that told him, I want to race for you one day, and then has now won this man 3 Daytona 500s. I think he is personally invested in this company for multiple reasons. And so I think this could be a lot different than what we've seen. I don't see them just going out of business in a couple of years. Michael Jordan also, you're going to take that. If Michael Jordan called us right now and said, listen, I've got an opportunity. We don't even have anywhere near enough the money to think about even putting a sticker about this big on the car. But we're taking the meeting, right? Because I want to meet Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
That's the power of having Michael Jordan associated with this team. So I think Joe Gibbs is invested. Michael Jordan is invested. I'm like you. I don't know if they win. They could maybe make the playoffs. This is the biggest mystery team coming into the season. It has the capabilities of very, very much being a fifth Gibbs car. If they have unlimited amount of resources and Joe Gibbs really backing them, they could be great. But this is anything like we've seen in the last couple of partnerships. It could go off the rails fairly quickly. But with that said, I know we're getting out of time here. Anything you want to plug before we get out?
Obviously, check out next week's episode. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do with that. Also, check Monday nights at 7 o'clock, the Below the O-Line podcast at 7 p.m. Eastern. The boys over there, Justin, Joe, Danny, all of them, they handle that podcast. That's our longest running show so far. I believe it's been running since the beginning of World Racing Media. So go check them out Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, World Racing Media, same place as here.
And those guys talk about a bunch of motorsports. They do not just stick to NASCAR. In fact, I think NASCAR is actually probably one of the fewer things to talk about. They do, but they talk a lot of Formula One, IndyCar, sports car, whatever is really trending at the time. Those guys are really good about that. Make sure you follow our Twitter page at WR Media Group, capital W, capital R, capital M, and then the rest is lowercase, but at WR Media Group. I believe we also we have the Instagram World Racing Media, so follow us there. We appreciate everybody listening. Obviously, this was our debut show of 2021. We hope to really, really be consistent. We plan on being here every Thursday, having fun topics to talk about. Obviously, as things go on, hopefully we'll have some more numbers to be involved with. That was you're going to hear a lot of opinion probably over the next month. The Daytona 500, I know that's
about the opinion.
Exactly a month from today, February 14th. Today's obviously January 14th. We are getting there. Valentine's Day. Forget love on this one.
10 days from now.
It's all about racing that day. Daytona 500. But yeah, we appreciate everybody listening. Armany's about to get fired if he doesn't get back to work. Blame him. Really, be honest with you. But he's got a lot of minister jobs lining up clearly, so things are panning out.
All right.
So, with that being said, see ya.